the little trip that one would take sort of as a matter of habit from San Francisco to New York, those have gone away, and I don't think they are coming back anytime soon, because we have found that we can be equally or even more efficient by doing meetings this way.
We're operating very effectively this way, and I don't want any of our employees, the safety and health of our employees is paramount, and I don't want any pressure. And I think in all the things we're going to talk about, D&I, everything, the tone at the top sets the tone for the organization. And if suddenly the person at the top is coming into the office every day, even if you say you don't need to come in, people are going to feel that pressure to come in.
We're now seeing that the risk groups, compliance teams are now weighing in on these processes, which is now taking a different decision path away from just pure cost towards risk aversion, resiliency, and supporting this distributed work model.
There's a lot of differences from each location in terms of what might be happening in their legal environment. So we have offices, as an example, in Manchester and in the UK, and just more recently, they started to have a spike in cases. They ended up having, some guidance from the government to say, we really would appreciate it if folks stayed at home. So we really have to attack this from each different jurisdictions, first from what the government is guiding us to do. And then we really are looking at it from a role perspective as we start to bring people back into the office, because we know we all are missing that collaboration. But if I bring in people that aren't on the same team or aren't, working on an audit together, you're still not going to achieve that collaboration. So then the next phase we're looking at is, what are the roles and the teams that make sense to bring back into the office?
Some of my clients are looking at what the government in all these different countries and jurisdictions are recommending, and they're saying, we may have a more conservative posture even than the government.
I don't think any firm will ever regret being more conservative than what the government regulates. And again, for us, the focus on employee wellness is really key. And so we are really looking at things through a voluntary lens. Do you want to come back? What would make you feel safe to do that? What's most important to you? For some people, that might be wearing masks. For others, it might be coming into the office perhaps later than they used to avoid mass transit congestion.
Try to provide folks all the tools that they need to be productive. But I will say that we still feel like this is a relationship business. And we feel strongly about getting back to work in the office. We feel like there's a coffee shop owner, there's a gas station attendant, there's a laundromat counting on us to return. And we feel like it's important to the fabric of Austin and to the towns that we're in to get back to work in a safe way when the time is right.
And you had to switch from managing people to what they produce versus are they in the office. Listen, the lazy manager goes, that guy's in here first and he leaves last. No idea what he really does all day, but he always seems to be very diligent and working hard. That's the lazy manager, right? The productive manager says, I'm not going to micromanage you. I'm going to measure you on results, which by the way is on me to describe to you what it is you need to achieve, and then give the flexibility.
Working from home, client meetings on video, every meeting you have being on video, your dog participating in calls with colleagues and clients, all of that stuff. But it has also served as an accelerator of sorts for things that we were planning to do in this industry anyway, coming out of 2019.
I think the blurring of work and home has created a new avenue for building rapport in a really significant way as it relates to understanding who people are, your colleagues are as people, not just as your colleagues. And I think that's been really profound, and I think it should stay. I think it helps with inclusion. I think it helps employees feel a sense of connection to one another, which helps connect to the overall, sense of belonging you have at a company. And I think that that's been one of the silver linings.
Within the first, 3 months of the pandemic, we helped migrate hundreds of thousands of transactions from fax into more automated channels for instruction capture. So COVID is absolutely accelerating the adoption of existing digital tools. It's accelerating the development and implementation of new digital tools. And the experience overall, it has it's underscoring the idea that many functions can be actually performed virtually, but it requires a couple of things. It requires the ability to virtualize work, and that's where digital capabilities come in. It also requires strong data management across the value chain, which we've talked about. And it requires providers that have invested in providing resilient and recoverable services end to end.
I'll also mention, something we're continuing to think about is just the impact in the longer term. Right now it's been 6 months. Most people can handle things for 6 months. We don't really know how long the world will be in this state. And it's important to be mindful that for all the good that we've talked about, the flexibility that's come from remote, there are constraints, and they're not necessarily equitable constraints.
Sally Krawcheck has been calling it a she-cession, and I think that's a really good term. This recession has disproportionately affected women because we are caregivers. I have a 7-year-old child, so I understand this firsthand, that we have demands on our time that are unique, and we're trying to juggle a lot, including be very, very present in terms of our work. I think that we have to recognize that people are taking stock of their lives in a different sort of way. They're reevaluating what they want to do, how they want to live, how they want to spend their time. This is going to be not a moment in time issue, but we're going to see this play out over some period of time.
Change is upon us, and we don't change often as an industry. And I think we need to strategically figure out, where do we want to land in 2 years, and get those changes in order now while we are still willing to change.